Chapter 214 to 216. Ha, ha, ha. Her blood, mixed with sweat, was coming out of her body endlessly. She was half dead. This was unbelievable. How can a person be so strong? Though thinking again, he wasn't just any person. He was the strongest man alive. Is Kaido as strong as him? Yamato asked herself, laying on her back. Maybe he was. He was called the strongest creature, after all. He should be at the same level as Whitebeard, right? I can't accept it. That man is a monster. If Kaido is as strong as him, then all of this is hopeless. Recently, she had attacked the ship of the Whitebeard pirates in search of Port Gas D Ace. Her father had let her know about Ace's current position on Whitebeard pirates before he dropped her in the outside world. From there, after she learned to fly using her devil fruit, she managed to find the ship of Whitebeard pirated after a few weeks of searching. Being hot-headed, she jumped for a fight outright. But the battle was finished even before she got a chance to use her advanced conqueror's haki to its fullest. Edward Newgate, his name was. The strongest opponent she ever faced. She was able to injure him, but it only took 3 direct hits from his tremor-coated blows to take her down. So that's the strongest Paramecia. She lost so miserably. A sigh escaped her lips. After a moment of thought, she ignored her loss for now. There was something more important. Surprisingly, when she explained she's after Ace, that Ace had stolen her diary, they had let her go. They just dropped her at a nearby island, all bloody and injured. Her broken bones were healing as of now, and she believed she'd be good to go soon. She recalled something Whitebeard had said. If you want to find him, go and look for Blackbeard. I am sure by being around him you'd come across Ace. She was truly confused why Whitebeard would help her find Ace. More so when he recognized her identity after she used on him. She couldn't understand why he didn't care that the son of another emperor was after his own. Truthfully, Whitebeard really didn't care. He saw the thing that Ace, according to the girl, stole, seemed to be very important to her. While as a pirate he can't say stealing is bad, as it would make him a hypocrite, the least he can do is give the victim a chance to retrieve the item back. So that's what he did. Yamato got up from the ground with a trembling body. Crack! Some of her bones cracked, but she didn't seem to react at all. Pain was her friend at this point, after training with Kaido for 2 years. She crouched down and picked up her spiky club. Blackbeard, right? Wait for me, I am coming. She stopped midway. Though who's Blackbeard? Yes. Yamato, the girl who's been locked in Onigashima for years, had no idea about the outside world. It's been a month since then. Yamato kept looking for information on Blackbeard, also known as Marshal D. Teach, while the man in question was currently in a life-and-death fight. Gah! A punch coated in armament haki thrust into his stomach, causing him to almost puke. With a pained groan, Blackbeard slid back. He removed his enemy's other fist from his darkness-coated palm and jumped back. Ha! You're stronger than I expected, Commander Ace. He growled while rubbing his huge stomach with his hands. His attacker, Ace, didn't answer. He just stood there with a serious look on his face. Oh, you're not talking? Ha. Am I so low that you can't even spare some of your words? Teach crackled up. Or are you just that angry? Shut it, Teach, Ace interrupted. I am not here to chit-chat. We can talk all day after I break your limbs and bring you back to Pops. He will ask you the questions you need to answer. Blackbeard huffed at him. He intercepted wrong. Ace was stronger than him even with the Yami no Mi. Unlike him, Ace didn't rely on his devil fruit that much, and in fact, had great haki. That's why he was losing this fight. He's been canceling his fruit with his own, but he is just too strong even without his fruit. Yes, Teach had his crew around too, but without haki, fighting a Logia user is just asking for death. More so when the Logia user is a strong one like Ace. More so, most of his crew didn't know hockey at all. In fact, if only his sniper had known armament, not just observation, Ace would have been taken out by now. This fight, Blackbeard was losing. Well, everyone, attack! At least they had some weapons made of sea stone that he stole before leaving the Whitebeard pirates. Ah! Men hidden on the corners of the island revealed themselves and rushed towards Ace, who narrowed his eyes. Zehahahahaha. Luckily, I didn't get any sea stone bullets, or you'd have been dead by now. Ace! With a cry, along with his crew, Blackbeard rushed towards Ace. He grabbed Ace's shoulder, thus rendering his Logia body to stop working, and slashed his stomach after taking out the blade from his belt. Cling! But Ace's skin turned ink black, creating the sound of metal clashing while the blade's head went dull. Fortunately, that wasn't the only attack. The other 3 members of his crew attacked Ace at once. Ace tried dodging, jumping back, but Blackbeard's gravitational pull didn't allow him to move. The attacks came hitting Ace, though he just covered his whole body in armament. None of the attacks did any significant damage. Just then, the sound of a banging sniper rifle entered their ears. The last member of Blackbeard Pirates, the sniper Van Auger, had fired a bullet. Bang! Ace's Logia body wasn't working, so this was a sure hit, and hit it did. Clink! But just like before, the bullet just clashed with his skin and bounced off with a dented head. Armament at Ace's level can't be damaged by any normal sniper bullet, even if the person shooting is Sniper King. As long as the said person doesn't imbue his own hockey into the bullet, there is no way for the bullet to actually damage Ace, though it did create a momentary daze. Ace's head vibrated slightly, his eyes going blurry. Blackbeard, noticing it, went to attack him again with his crew. The large man named Jesus grabbed Ace and suplexed him, while Blackbeard and the others punched and kicked him. This didn't look like a proper fight. It was as if a bunch of kids were fighting an adult. Blackbeard was desperate for survival. Unfortunately, a burst of conquerors. Hockey clouded the whole place, causing Teach to trip and almost fall unconscious, but he managed to hold on. He might have the strength of a small fry, but based on will only, he was someone on the same level, if not above, Ace. But while Blackbeard survived, the people around him were knocked unconscious, mostly civilians, as his crew was still standing, even if on their knees. Sweat dripped down from Blackbeard's head as he revealed a stiff smile. Ha ha ha. Commander Ace keeps shattering my expectations. Now it seems I am really about to... Before he could finish his words, Ace moved. He got up from the ground where he was suplexed and dashed towards Blackbeard. His armament-covered fist caught fire because of the friction of the air, and the heat only increased after he infused steam into it. With a burning light of rage flashing by his eyes, Ace cried, "Pork-ass D!" Ace first went closer to Teach's face while Teach stared at it with a shocked expression. But just before the moment of contact, someone came interrupting them. A club, a spiky club, came in between them, going towards Ace's face instead. A female with long white hair came into view, wielding a club that had black lightning dancing around it. It clashed with Ace's fist, causing the wind to stir around that pace. Apparently, the world hates Portgas D. Ace. The research of Judge and Karna was going smoothly. They found traces of ancient giants, Or's race DNA in Moria's dead body that was turned into a zombie by Yona. They were confused, since making a proper half-human, half-ancient giant was impossible artificially. How was it possible that they existed naturally? Mother Nature was more efficient than science, it seemed. To learn more about this, they passed this information to Robin, who researched on this topic and found Moria to be part of a race called Oni, and after more research, she learned that the Oni race is a distant descendant of the ancient giants. So there are barely any traces of AG blood left in the so-called Onus. Things were much clearer to Vinsmoke Judge as to why Caesar was able to partially, succeed in making giant children and numbers. Because Cheezer himself is an Oni, considering the horn in his head. They also had a suspicion that Kaido, Yamato, Magellan are also Oni, though they had no proof for it. As mentioned before, Amon had stopped reading One Piece manga at a certain point after his father's death. While he did know about some future plot points from the internet, most were ambiguous to him. So he had no previous idea about the Oni race, nor about the Lunarians, though he did know about the latter now. Anyway, now the point was, they got another lead in making Amon into a proper half-ancient giant. Moria and Cheezer, whose blood was tasted, revealed that they barely have the DNA of ancient giants, so they still had a normal lifespan and no special strength. Yet, even then, this will help a lot. If only they got the blood of a strong Oni, like the supposed Oni, Kaido, then it'd have been of a lot of help. Blackbeard stood with a baffled look on his face. His crew and Ace were on the ground, lying unconscious. What the hell did he just witness? Who was that woman? Conqueror's coating. It was not as strong as Prime Whitebeard or Roger, but it was still Conqueror's coating. That's Yonko-level shit. How can a girl who looked merely in her 20s use it so efficiently? That's Roger-level, no, Zebek-level talent. After a long silence, Blackbeard's shocked expression soon changed, a grin appearing on his face. Zay ha ha ha, the new era is looking great. He laughed aloud at the sky, his voice echoing the whole island of Banaro. He then looked down on the people laying down, his gaze eyeing Ace. All right, time to hand you to the Marines. Luckily, that advanced Conqueror's hockey-using girl was flown away by a mysterious source of lightning, which could only be of the Sky Emperors, from what Teach could tell. Or from the looks of it, the girl wouldn't have let him take Ace away, though he wondered what the Sky Emperor was doing here. Blackbeard took out a pair of sea-stone handcuffs while, from far away, a girl kept watching him with binoculars. The short brown-haired girl hummed. So this is the end of Ace, huh? Or I wonder if Boss has other plans for him? The girl, Perry, who notified Amon about the arrival of the user, laughed to herself. If not for her notification, Amon might not have been able to save for getting beaten to death. Oh, you're up? Amon stared down at the girl on the ground, slowly opening her eyes while he was sitting on the branch of a tree beside her. Ooh, she moaned while rubbing her eyes. Sitting up and opening her eyes finally, she looked around. Who talked just now? Look up, girl. I am above. At his words, she suddenly raised her head and met his eyes. First she blinked, before narrowing her eyes, then her eyes widened. You! She glared at him. You knocked me unconscious. Wait, I know you. Oh? Amon raised an eyebrow. Did she recognize me from Wano? You're Sky Emperor, aren't you? Kaido talked about you. Amon's eyebrow went down. Heh. Yes, I am. Good to meet you. He smiled, jumping down from the tree, landing and crouching down in front of her. She stared at him. I am getting mad. I was supposed to interrogate that guy named Ace. Why did you abduct me here? Amon laughed at this. Well, miss, you can't cause trouble in my territory. What? She frowned. That other guy was fighting Ace at first. Why didn't you intervene then? Why only when I came in? She seemed truly annoyed and furious. She recently heard this guy, who seemed to be the same age as her, had killed Big Mom. But she wasn't scared, though she still didn't want to fight him, so she was being as respectful as possible. But he was indeed being annoying. Amon shrugged. You're different from them. Fighting between pirates is a normal thing. I am no world government who would stop those fights. But you, ma'am, are Kaido's child. I can't let you wreak havoc in my territory. I have a reputation to watch out for. Bullshit. He just wanted to take her away from Ace so that Teach could bring Ace to the Marines and the war of the best could happen. Yamato frowned. He was on point. As much as she hated her father, she at least knew him well enough to guarantee that he would have done the same if, let's say, Rocky went to mess around in one of the islands owned by Kaido. It's just a law among emperors. They would see anything done by another Yonko as poking their ass. Yamato's frown lessened. She sighed. I promise to not cause any trouble in your territory. Just drop me to an island that's not your territory along with Ace. Amon smiled awkwardly. I can admire your calm mind while talking to an emperor, but I have to disappoint you. You're too late. Blackbeard has already handed Ace to the Marines. Yamato moved. She grabbed her club from beside her and swung it towards Amon, though the club just went past his body as if he was just a hologram. Oh ho, not so calm anymore. Though you should stop, you don't want to die, do you? He sighed, shook his head, and got up. Why do you need Ace anyway? He asked. I might be able to help you if you tell me that. Yamato gritted her teeth and slammed her weapon to the ground. This guy was a dodging expert, the type she hated the mist. And why would you help a Yonko's child? That contradicts what you just said. Oh well, Kaido's friendship. Big Mom is dead from what I know. Kaido must be really mad considering his relationship with her. Amon added, even if I can't get his friendship, I can at least remove him from my back by helping his daughter. Yamato laughed with a tinge of sadness in her voice. Unfortunately, helping me wouldn't improve your relationship with him at all. Oh, sad. He sighed. Never mind then. Wait, she interrupted him. Though it would surely improve your relationship with me. I am gonna kill Kaido soon. After that, the whole Wano would be indebted to you if you can help me. Amon raised an eyebrow. Now I am interested. I heard you're super fast. Even if Ace was taken to the Marines, could you, if possible, go and fetch a diary from him? It might not be with him at this moment, maybe he even lost it. But the least you can do is learn what happened to it, can you? Interesting. What does the diary look like? It looks normal. The only way to recognize it is its name. It's called the... She hesitated for a bit before signing. Odin's Journal. At her request, Amon slipped his hands in his pockets and took out a green diary with a tilt of his head. You mean this? Yamato's eyes went wide. That's it. She got up and tried to snatch the diary away, to which Amon simply let her do it. She flipped the pages, her eyes shining, seeing it as intact as it was from the time she lost it. Ace took good care of it. She turned her face to him. Where did you get this from? Amon smiled. Well, Ace had it in his pockets that dropped when you knocked him out finally. You didn't notice since I knocked you out cold just then. I was interested in it, so I picked it up. She nodded and went back to checking the diary out. A relieved sigh escaped her lips, seeing everything present there. Now she can give this to Momo without any worry. She again looked at him, this time seriously. Thank you. I really mean it. Amon waved it away. Skip the formalities. Besides, it was a good read. Yamato's eyes went wide. Did he read the journal? Ignoring her reaction, Amon kept talking. Anyway, I am pretty busy, so I gotta go. Amon prepared to leave, but he blinked as if he suddenly remembered something. Oh, now that you got it back, you should return to Wano. As your benefactor, I would request you to stop trailing Ace and also stay out of the next world-shaking event that is going to take place soon. Because, frankly, he smiled, I don't want to kill you. As Yamato froze, he waved his hand and vanished with a zap of lightning. Yamato blinked. This guy... He had a different aura to him. He was strong, maybe not as strong as Whitebeard, but still strong. But his strength wasn't what made him special. It was the way he talked. He was a nice person. Yamato scratched her head. Well, I wanted to hunt down the Marine base Ace would be taken to, but I guess I can listen to his request. Though, she sighed and looked at the horizon of the sea. Her journey lasted around a month. She's always wanted to come out of Onigashima, and now that she has finally come out, I am not going to return to that shitty place anytime soon. Maybe she should experience the life of normal people for a few days. Traveling, eating different kinds of food, meeting different kinds of people. Maybe she should visit Skypiea first. Speaking of Skypiea, hey Luffy, are you sure about this? A certain crew was heading right there. That's the base of an emperor. It would be dangerous. Smiling at them, Amon stood up from the dining table. All right, I need to go now. He glanced at the people, Rocky, Isa, Bob, Karna, and Otama, who waved at him from their chairs. They just had dinner together after almost 2 months. He glanced at Rocky, who seemed fine for a person who fought Big Mom just a week ago. Not only her, the other Sins were also fine after Amon fed them teardrops of the dwarf princess. He just had to threaten Doffy a little to get his hands on it. While he was busy thinking, Rocky stretched her arms and yawned. Ooh. You're not done yet in Alabasta? Nope. It would take a while more. Rocky whistled. Damn, to think you're actually working hard and not just fucking around. Shut it. Isa and the others laughed at this, while Rocky stuck out her tongue. Boof! Deadpanning, Amon was just about to teleport, just as he sensed something. Skypiea is only 10 kilometers above Jaya, so Amon can see everything happening there in real time. And currently, he was doing just that. He frowned, which got noticed by everyone in the room. Some people are coming to Skypiea via the newly made road in Jaya. There are 3 routes to Skypiea: the summit of the High West, the Knockup Stream, and the recently added Milky Road connected to Jaya. Amon created this Milky Road because of 2 reasons. First, he would rather have the entrance to his base under his observation hockey's range than to leave it be in the West Blue. Second, this allows a much easier method of traveling. That's Honey Queen's presence? I haven't checked her report for a while. Even Amon can't see with his observation hockey. The best he can do is something similar to Fujitora, though he did have his that let him see everything clearly. He closed his eyes as a bolt of lightning left his forehead, penetrating the land of Shandora and entering Jaya in less than a second. Whoa! Otama was fascinated seeing it while others waited for what Amon had to say. Opening his eyes almost immediately, Amon turned to Rocky with a small smirk on his face. You know the Straw Hat Pirates? No. Amon sighed. Go and do some research on them right now. They'd come here soon. You make sure they don't die. Reiki was confused as to why she would even care about some measly pirate, but by that time she could have asked him for an explanation. Amon had vanished from Shandora and Skypiea as a whole. Yikes, she exhaled. I wanted to train. A few hours later, Straw Hats finally passed Heaven's Gate with their ship as a huge lobster brought them to Angel Island. In this timeline, to just enter Skypiea, one would need a fortune. This was, in the end, the base of an Emperor of the Sea, after all. Yet the Straw Hats were able to do so. Unlike Canon, they actually had more than enough money to enter Heaven's Gate, because this time, they got to fight and loot a lot of Marines coming after them because of Alice, and a bunch of newbie pirates who started their journey after Big Mom's death. More so, the initial price has been halved so that more people can come up here, because a special event is being held right now on the west side of Angel Island. This event is based on 13 daughters of Big Mom, who survived from Amon's massacre, but still came to him for revenge, regardless, though Straw Hats were unaware of the fact. Moving on. Wow, this place is pretty fancy. Nami looked around the city as she walked by with Alice and Honey Queen. Fancy is an understatement, the blonde Alice exclaimed. This place is heavenly, almost as good as Mary Joie. She wore a blue dress with her blonde hair tied by a black ribbon. Some balloons were in her hands that she was grabbing tightly to not let them fly away. Image here. She nudged closer to Nami, who shook her head slowly as the girl said, Nami, I want to eat those cotton candy thingies. Buy me some. Nami sighed hearing this. Normally she'd disagree, those things looked expensive. But this girl was too adorable, so she had to reluctantly nod her head. Amongst all this, Honey Queen followed them with a disinterested look on her face. She is more interested in seeing any kind of drama that might happen soon. After all, she notified Amon, but he never responded. What would he do when Straw Hat starts doing something stupid in his base? More so, when they've divided each other like this. The Straw Hats are divided into 3 groups. The first is Nami, Alice, and Honey. The second is Usopp and Sanji. The third is Zoro and Luffy. She was really looking forward to it. If her luck is better, she might have to stop playing around them after this. No, playing around would be an understatement. This is clear babysitting. Without her, the Straw Hats would have been dead 10 times by now. She shrugged and followed Nami while eyeing the cotton candy. This is her second time in Skypiea, so she was maybe a little interested in the things here. Just a little. Oi, cat burglar, buy me some too. Nami smiled at her and nodded. Nami really respected her from what Honey Queen could tell. Maybe the little girl felt that women who can stand on their own are cool? Heh, this feels good sometimes. Nah. Well, Straw Hats are somewhere and problems wouldn't occur. Is that possible? Not in this timeline. You bastards, how dare you treat women like this? Sanji kicked the guard who was flown a few meters behind. Sanji, stop it! This is not a place we should be fighting in. Remember what Honey said before coming here? No matter what we do, we mustn't start a fight. How can I stay calm in such a situation? Sanji announced. They're treating women as sex dolls. Sanji and Usopp were wandering around Angel Island's west side. Usopp was interested in the dials they were using, while Sanji was interested in the literal angels walking around him. His gaze that examined all the women's rear and bosom was easily noticed by the people from the red light district. Taking Sanji as a potential customer, they approached him and explained to him about the new goods. Big Mom's daughters, starting from the ugliest to the most beautiful one. They were all available for a play as long as he had money. This pissed Sanji off. He already knew about prostitution, and he hated it. He didn't like the fact that women sold their bodies for some mere bellies, though he still had to bear with it since the girls working there do this willingly. But this? It was clear that Big Mom's daughters were being forced. First and foremost, they shouldn't be punished for Big Mom's mistake. And secondly, even if they were to be punished, this was not the way. But Sanji, by doing this, you're endangering all of our lives. Sanji clenched his fist at Usopp's words. On second thought, it was indeed reckless. Maybe he shouldn't have done that. Alas, it was too late. The guard who he kicked got up with a pained expression. My, we got a troublesome one. He took out the walkie-talkie-like device hanging from his waist and clicked the connect button, then saying, "We need reinforcements." Usopp sighed at this. "We are done for." On the other hand, Rocky, who was watching TV, got a sudden call on her smart dial. "Miss, since you've asked us to notify you if anything happens with the Straw Hats, we believe you should come here ASAP." Rocky deadpanned at this and sighed, getting up slowly after cutting the call. "This is pissing me off. He said not to kill, I can at least break their legs, right?" Amon didn't actually mind, and in fact already knew something like this would happen. The reason he put the no-kill rule on her was because of this. Cut them, break them, just don't kill them. He didn't want to babysit the Straw Hats, but he didn't mind fueling them with a bit of oil since he did have a free chance lying around. And it would be a spectacle to see when Sanji meets Rocky. Unfortunately, Amon might miss it. Meanwhile, in Marineford, Sengoku stared ahead at the silver-haired girl with a dazed look on his face. "Fuyu, are you sure?" he asked for one last time. "I am certain, Fleet Admiral. Vice Admiral Hina couldn't follow them anymore since they entered Sky Emperor's base." Sengoku heaved a sigh and leaned back on his chair. "I am done for." If that kid, Amon, discovered the relationship between him and Alice, it would be a disaster. Though luckily for poor Sengoku, the current Amon was strong enough to not care about small-time manipulation like this anymore. After all, what's the meaning of power if he still had to manipulate people to gain things? Just a gaze should be enough.